Okay, hey everybody. So this is a third video where I'm looking at interviews with people involved in the TV show The Penguin. If you haven't watched the first two, the ones with Colin Farrell and the makeup guy, and then a second video that I did with the interview with Matt Reeves, you might want to watch those first before watching this one. Um, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to just point out how different responses to different questions show how different cognitive functions sort of pop up or manifest themselves in these individuals being interviewed. And I'm not really trying to pinpoint down any particular type, so to speak, even though I have my hunches. But what I'm trying to focus more on is the how the different functions are expressing themselves or having difficulty expressing themselves. So this interview is with the actress who plays Sophia in the show. And by the way, there are spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe wait to watch these videos until after you've seen the show. Um, and even though I say I'm not trying to pinpoint a type, she really gives me ISFP vibes, and a couple of reasons, but the primary one is notice how much she focuses on physical details, which I think is a very ISFP sort of trait that you see a lot. And I'll point them out as we go along. Um, but you definitely get the introverted feeler vibe from her, but also this very SE, just her attention to physical things and how she uses physical things or references to physical things to make her point. She's trying to express an idea, she's trying to express a point, but she does it through reference to physical things, which I find really interesting. So here we go.
So, Kristen, I'm dying to know what about playing this character was most interesting to you? You read it, you get
Yeah.
offered it, you're looking at it, and what about playing Sophia was so interesting?
I mean, I kind of got so spoiled because I get to do everything. Like, you really get such insight into how she becomes who she becomes, and you get to see her at so many different points in her life, and it's just like such an incredible arc. So I just really got to, I feel like I hit the jackpot, basically.
You get to do everything,
I get to
right?
do everything. Yeah.
So, when you're on set, the first time you see Colin as Oz,
Yeah.
the full Oz makeup, what's that like? Was there like a big reveal, or was it gradual? Did you sneak into the makeup trailer and take a look?
We actually it was done really well. We were doing like camera tests for hair and makeup and costumes and like all that. We had like a couple days of that, and so that was the first time I got to see him, and so I'm glad I saw him then and not like when cameras were rolling, and it's magnificent to see up close because it doesn't look like makeup at all, not at all. You can't tell at all.
Not up close either.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah, they did
And
such
it
a
feels
great
real.
job.
Like in
Yeah.
the first episode, I give him that kiss on the cheek, and it feels.
Notice that it feels real. Like you could see her just sort of reliving the experience, but also just this focus on SE type stuff.
Feels real. It's all real. Mike is a genius.
That's so cool
Yeah.
because I mean, your character has a journey as well as far as makeup
Yeah.
and the look goes. So, how did that inform the way you played the character as the show progresses?
Yeah.
Was there like a piece of makeup or like a piece of clothing that you used to kind of get into that version of the character?
Definitely. I mean, I was so in lockstep with our hair and makeup team and our wardrobe designer, and we all really felt like she has like war paint on, like like the eyeliner starts to be like. Yeah, like for like to go into battle, and the clothes. I mean, my God.
So, our brilliant research department, Rotten Tomatoes.
Again, reference to war paint as her makeup, which, if you see the show, you could understand why she would characterize it or use that sort of example to really make a reference to like what her character's like. She's going into war.
Okay.
Which may or may not be me binging old TV shows.
Absolutely.
A few years back, you did a handful of episodes for The Sopranos.
Yes.
So, how does the Falcone crime family compare to The Sopranos? Can we do some mobster on mobster comparison?
Absolutely. I actually just watched The Sopranos for the first time like 2 years ago. Turns out it's the best show ever made.
It's pretty damn good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you say The Sopranos, like as the way that they operate with their crime enterprise
Yeah.
versus the Falcones, is it, or do you see similarities, or is it just two completely different universes? Because one does have a superhero.
Right. Of course. Well, there's that element, of course. They do seem different. Carmine he's so like fancy. You know, they're so like they really like flaunt their wealth in a way that like obviously the Soprano house is like very, very wealthy, but you don't see like Tony's in like a lot of like golf shirts. You know, whereas Carmine's in like Gucci or something.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. They really like to flaunt the wealth.
They
The
really like to
Sopranos
flaunt
kind
it.
of keep it a little closer.
They keep it like under wraps. You know, he drives that like Chevy, what is it, like Tahoe or Escalade or like, I don't know. But, you know, I'm like tooling around Gotham in a, what is that car called? It's like the Mercedes. Help me out. It's so expensive and fancy. Oh my God.
It's definitely not my Mercedes.
No.
Because I got like the cheapest
Oh my
one.
God, but what is it called? There's like it's like that truck.
Oh, yeah. But that's it
Yeah.
like shows how
It, like,
rich
shows
you are.
how wealthy they
you
are.
open with how rich you
Yeah.
are, basically, in
Yes.
this world. Right.
Okay, so hopefully you get the point here. And I just found this fascinating. So she's asked a question: compare the Soprano characters' mob family to the Falcone mob family in Batman/Penguin, and instead of getting into character traits or specific events or things that they did, she talks about their clothing. She talks about how Falcone is very suave and wears sort of like Gucci or Armani type suits, where Tony Soprano's wearing golf shirts, right? And, sort of comparing the houses and the cars. Tony Soprano's driving around in sort of a, U.S. made SUV, and she's driving around in a Mercedes. And just how she's describing characters and comparing characters through material things, material things that they wear, material cars that they drive, but she's making the point, right? You get what she's saying, but she doesn't have to say it using, type descriptions or talking about their character or their flaws or horrible things that they did, things like that you might get from a lot of the other types. She expresses her ideas through references to material things and sort of what they represent. And then also just look at this shirt. I mean, nothing says ISFP more than this shirt. So I'm going to let it go a little bit more, but again, just pay attention to how she just sort of doesn't really fixate, but she uses material things in a real interesting way to make her point.
Yes.
Which you kind of have to, to keep up with everybody else that's running
Right.
around. The way that you deal with Oz.
Yeah.
Everyone else in this show initially seems to underestimate him, but
Yeah.
you seem to know his potential. You seem to be at eye level with that. How is Sophia able to get through to Oz in a way that nobody else is?
Well, they have a history, for sure, which informs that. But I think she's also underestimated, and she's been disregarded her whole life. And I think, I think they're kindred in a way, because people have overlooked them their entire lives.
Okay, now we're getting into a FI explanation of things, because she's asked to deliberate, right? So she's getting into her FI deliberation mode.
And sort of cast them to the side. And they are both so hungry for power. So there's a world in which they would have worked really well together.
How much of the backstory are you of your backstory are you given, and how much are you kind of filling in the blanks just as a performer and trying to understand the material?
It's kind of both. I was, in this show, obviously, I'm given a lot of backstory. And Lauren and I had such lengthy discussions about it. And then I did a little bit of my own filling in the blanks as well. But that's also the joy of a limited series. You get so much more time.
Right, right,
to
yeah.
like really dig in there that you wouldn't necessarily get in a movie.
I heard the script for the Batman movie was around 120, 130 pages, something like that, and this script for
Yeah.
the show was around 500 pages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you're reading it, are you just like sinking your teeth into it? Are you nervous? Do you know everything going into it?
No, I'm sinking my teeth into it, and I am nervous in the way that like I don't want to mess it up, for sure. Like those nerves are very, very present, but I'm also reading it being like very like excited.
Feel a heart beating?
This city was meant to be yours, sweetheart. What are you gonna do to
Okay. So again, good example of the manifestation of SE and how SE users like at ISFP might use physical material things to express ideas that they're trying to get across. Just thought that was interesting. All right, we'll see you in the next video.